Hi everyone, welcome back to the videos. In this video, we'll talk about tNormalize component. So this component tNormalize is used to normalize your data based on a column that you specify. And so based on the column that we specify, it can duplicate the rows to provide us with a better data quality. So not sure if that makes sense yet or not, but let's jump into my screen and I'll take you through a scenario of where it can be used. So I'll switch over to my screen now, and if I go to my sample data directory, I've created this sample file tNormalize sample data. So if I open this file, I'll show you what it is. So it's essentially a few records from our student data only. So I've got student ID, first name, last name, and in here instead of score and class ID, I've got this column now, which is subject. So let's say I'm trying to portray here which student has enrolled into which subjects. So let's say student 1001 has enrolled into three subjects, 1002 has enrolled into two subjects. So English and social science, 1003 has enrolled again into two subjects, maths and history, and so on. So let's say we had this data table that for 100 people or thousands of students, and then we wanted to understand it in a better way. For us to be able to take a count of all these subject or do any kind of analysis, it's not that easy from this one column, because all the courses that the students have enrolled for are mentioned into one column itself, one row itself, are merged into one row. Whereas ideally, if we wanted to do a particular analysis, we may want to have want to have individual rows for each subject that the student has enrolled in. So let's say for student 101, we want to have three rows, and each of the row will have one subject mentioned. So the first row 101 Raminder Singh will have English, second row will have maths, and third row will have science, and so on for each of the students. So if we want to do that kind of if we want to transform this data in that kind of format, what we can use is tNormalize component. So let's see that in action. I'll switch over to my Talend application now and let's see that in action. So I'll close this file, don't save, and I will switch over to Talend now. Let's create a new job here, and I'll name this job tNormalize demo, and I'll hit finish, and it's open the job. The first thing we need to do is to read the CSV file or the delimited file that we have created. So I'll quickly do that. I've gone over this a few times now, so I will do it very quickly without explaining it. So I'll just go give it a name. I'll just give it tNormalize demo. You can give it a better name if you like. So I can see the preview in here. I need to change some of the things. So I'll change the separator to comma, change this to, and I'll refresh the preview. Should give me the preview now. Okay, so that gives me the preview that I need, and all my subjects are still shown in one column, and the delimiter for each of the subject is colon in this case. If you look at it, I'll go next here. Gives me the data types and the length, and I can change that based on my requirement. Once I'm done, I can click finish. So now I have got the schema of my CSV file. So the first thing I need to do is drag this on to the canvas. So I'll take t file input delimited. Okay. So that's my input component sorted now. What I need to do after this is I need to normalize this data, and which will duplicate some of each of the rows into multiple rows based on the identified column. So I'll insert t normalize component here, and I will right click on this, go row main and link it to tNormalize, and I'll double click on tNormalize to go to the properties. I'll go synchronize columns. When I do that, in these properties down here, I need to specify which column is the one that I need to normalize. So I need to normalize subjects column in this case, and my item separator for each of the subject is not comma, it's colon in this case. So I'll change and specify these properties as per my requirement. So that's done. So I've configured my component. All I need to do now is to take an output in a component. So I can either do it in a tlog row, or let's try and do it in a file this time. So I'll say t file output delimited. So I'll take it in a CSV file again, go row main and click on this. And I need to specify a path. So I'll take my sample data directory only, and I will go here, and instead of tNormalize sample data, I will go tNormalize sample data, and the reason for that, I will take you through that later. So let's say I'm giving it the name of tNormalize sample data, and I'll go open, and I just need to mention .csv in this case here, and I'll go include header, synchronize columns, and I'll just change this to comma, and I'll put this through an error thing away. So that's pretty much it. That's all the settings that I need to do. And let me press F6 now and see if I get the result that I need. So it's completed the processing now. So if I look at the job, it took 5 rows from the input component, which got transferred here to the tNormalize. This component from 5 rows transferred the data into 12 rows, and then 12 rows were transferred to the output destination file. So let me go over to that file, go over to that path, and that should be in my sample data directory. And if I go and see tDenormalize sample data has been created, and if I look at that data now, it's created for each ID, for each row. It's created individual rows based on the number of subjects the person is enrolled in. So for 102, it was only enrolled in 2 subjects, so I've got 2 rows. For 103, I've again got 2 rows. 104, I've got 3 rows because it was enrolled in 3 subjects, and then similarly, I've got 2 rows. So 5 rows were actually transferred or transformed into 12 rows based on this column. So that's what tNormalize helps us to do. So if we ever needed to analyze, now if we need to analyze the data, it'll be pretty easy for us to find out how many subjects each student is enrolled into, and we can do so many analysis based on that. And so that's the functionality of tNormalize component, and I hope that was helpful.
If you find this video helpful, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to this channel and share it with others who might find this valuable too. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.